mentors are a great way to learn. And you may have mentors from afar. You may have mentors close by. You'd be surprised on who would agree to become your mentor if you showed two qualities. One being your attitude, and two, having the aptitude. Hello, my friend, and welcome to this Friday episode of A Call to Leadership. I'm Dr. Nate Sala, your host, and we're studying what effective leaders do. We're on a multi-part series embarking on how we add one tool to our leadership tool belt each and every week. So I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you're joining me because this episode is for you, and it really hangs on one aspect of leadership that you're already doing. What I found over the years when I study effective leaders and strive to become one myself is this thread that runs through all effective leaders, and it's a non-negotiable, it's a must-have. All effective leaders are what I call insatiable learners. They have this insatiable curiosity about life, about the world around them. And they're drawn to nonstop, if you will, continue to accumulate, absorb knowledge, information, data that they can then process and integrate and help them to make decisions in their business, with their families, with their life. I think about people around me and think about people around you. Think about people around you who are so inquisitive, their desire to learn, and their desire to learn isn't just around books. You may say, Nate, I don't read books. I don't like to read books. You don't have to read books. In fact, many people who are effective leaders don't spend time reading books. I love books. I love reading books. I love digging into how someone's formed a thought or a group of thoughts in a book form. I understand that's not for everybody. Sometimes your learning might be through other means. You might, just like this podcast, right? You listen to podcasts. This is an effective way to learn. Another way to learn is through YouTube or video content. There's lots of series on video, which combines video and audio, of course. And you can learn massive quantities of important information through that method as well. You can learn through studying people, listening to lectures, listening to people in a seminar environment. I've been to seminars, and I found that sometimes you can go and do what you would call a virtual conference, and those are good. But to be in the company of others and the energy in a room, boy, that is electrifying. And just getting that full immersion, networking, just spending time with my network, that is an incredible way to learn from others. And not only my network of people who are perhaps in different industries, but people who are in my same space. Learning from them on what their best practices are, those are game changers. In fact, I may have talked about this on another episode. It bears repeating. I just recently had a conversation with a colleague who is in the same space in another state, and we were sharing different types of activities that each of us have mastered in our business. He's mastered some different systems, and so he was sharing those systems with me. I've mastered some aspects of creating a winning culture, and I was sharing those aspects with him. We both ended that conversation, it was about 30 minutes, just 30 minutes, with, dare I say, $10, $20, maybe $30,000 worth of ROI, return on investment knowledge that we were able to then implement into our business models that very same week. The power of learning. In fact, it's been said, and I love this statement. It's so heavy, it's so compelling, but it's been said that the educated mind cannot be enslaved. You may have heard me say this before. What does that mean? That means that when we don't have the knowledge that we need, we're in bondage. We need to be freed. You see, having the learning is liberation. It gives us freedom. Never underestimate the power of learning. And I don't just say that because I teach academically at the university level, or I lead a conference or a seminar or a mastermind or coaching, because I see the power of it working. And I see that people are able to overcome their obstacles when they don't lock themselves away and try to figure out how to solve a problem without any new information. Go out, get new data. Talk to people. Mentors are a great way to learn. And you may have mentors from afar. You may have mentors close by. You'd be surprised on who would agree to become your mentor if you showed two qualities. One being your attitude, having a winning attitude, and two, having the aptitude, in other words, having the ability to accomplish what gives you high altitude. If you can do that, have the aptitude and have the attitude to reach the altitude, those who have gone before you, if you ask, I would love for you to mentor me in an area that you've already showed excellence in and accomplished in. I want to learn from you. Would you impart your wisdom? Would you impart your knowledge on me? The worst thing someone can do is say no. They may say, maybe not at this time. They may say, I may not be the best suited mentor for you right now. However, there's someone else who I'd like to introduce you to, who may be able to mentor and shepherd you along your journey. And I would encourage you to find 3 mentors who you can learn from in different areas. Perhaps one is a mentor in an aspect of, let's just call it business. Maybe one is a mentor in the family environment, someone who's mastered whatever it is you're going through. Maybe you're raising preteens and you're getting ready to move into the teen realm, and this person has raised children and maybe is an empty nester now, and you've seen, wow, your kids turned out great. Hey, I'm getting ready to have these teenagers, and I don't know what I'm doing. I've read some books, I've listened to some podcasts, I've done some counseling, but I need more. And this person will likely be candid and say, hey, I didn't get everything right, but I'm happy to share my experience with you and help you along your journey. Perhaps one is just in general life and is sharing with you their obstacles and their accomplishments, and you share yours. Mentorship is highly undervalued, underrated, but it's so incredibly important. So find 3, and then I would encourage you to become one. Be a mentor to someone. You don't have to have made it all the way to the pinnacle. Sometimes you're just a step or 2 ahead, and that's okay too. But be a mentor. Be open to becoming a mentor to someone and helping them along their journey and giving back as it has been given to you. And guess what? You'll learn from your mentees, because mentorship isn't just about teaching, but it's a reciprocating process. So you've got all these different ways to invest in learning. People, because you say, well, you know what? I'm so glad you said that, Nate, because I was just thinking that if I didn't read all these books, that I was out of the game. No, that's not necessarily. However, I would encourage you, if you're in business or any field, let me tell you something. You may not be a reader, but I would encourage you, and even if you are a reader, there's a kind of a book that has so much content and so little value, if you will, in popular press. And it's the academic book. It's the textbook. You said, Nate, I don't want to read any more textbooks. I read those in schools. If you pick up a business textbook, or you pick up a psychology textbook, you pick up an economics textbook, you pick up a number of different textbooks, sociology and anthropology and any of the ologies, you pick up a textbook. It is rich with content by scholars. And those textbooks, which I have some behind me, I mean, I use, of course, teaching, I use textbooks, but I've also gleaned so much from textbooks, even at the PhD level, because there's just so much breadth of information. I would encourage you, even if you're not in school, pick up a textbook in an area that you want to learn in, and you'll find that it's not boring, it's not irrelevant. In fact, it will have so much. You say, well, Nate, the textbook maybe have written 2 or 3 years ago, and now it is irrelevant. That's not true. There are aspects of it, yes. If it was written pre-pandemic, there's going to be aspects. However, new editions are always coming out. Whether or not you pick up a textbook, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, find a groove where you can gather information, gather resources, and each and every day learn, because your brain is a muscle. And just like any other muscle in your body, with use, except for your eyes, ironically, it actually can get stronger and stronger and stronger. So challenge that muscle. Don't take the easy road. Every day, add something new to your learning. Challenge your mind to learn and learn. But don't overlearn. There's the other side of it, is that we can become information junkies and learn so much that we don't have the time to actually put the learning into action. Don't be that person. When I was working on my business plan years and years ago, when I had my paging and cell phone business, I had this grand idea to become a national tax and accounting firm. Okay, so I thought I was going to go into every mall in the United States, every major mall, and I did so much research, so much learning, and I got to the point to where I was pigeonholing myself because I was spending so much time learning, and I wrote this beautiful plan, but I wasn't about to execute it because I oversatiated my brain in learning, and I didn't actually take action. So don't be that person on the other side of it. So I had to put the brakes on the learning so that I can actually put my plan into action. And I didn't go nationwide. I found that if I just stayed in my community, it was better for me. And in fact, at one point I had 7 locations in St. Louis where I live. And I actually was kind of miserable. I had all these mall tax offices. It was okay. And then I ended up shutting that all down. I ended up having 3 offices that were in office parks and just traditional office buildings. And my entire organization was much more fluid. It worked out so much better. And so sometimes then what? Sometimes learning is through action. Maybe it's not the book. Maybe it's not the YouTube. Maybe it's not the mentor. Maybe it's just learning from the school of hard knocks. Sometimes the best learning lessons are when things don't go the way we plan. Sometimes that's just the way life is. And I've learned some of my best leadership lessons from pitfalls, from mistakes I've made. I mean, and even on this show, you've heard me talk about different ones I've had in my own life, whether it be business, whether it be family, whether it be my own mistakes and just in life. And I've instead of looking at those mistakes as final, I've looked at them as feedback. My failure was not final. It was feedback. Your failure is only final when you give up. And so that feedback I added to my playbook. Every time I made a mistake, my learning added to the playbook, and that repertoire continued to grow and grow and grow, because no one knocks it out of the park consistently over and over again. You're going to have some misses. And when you have those misses, you regroup and you find a new way. So don't ever underestimate the power of learning from all of these different areas. Never take your foot off the gas of learning until you need to take a break and implement that learning, and then repeat. Learn, implement, repeat. That's the formula, friend. And that is one important way that effective leaders get things done. I'm glad you're here today, because I hope you've learned something, and I know that we'll continue to grow and learn together on this show. I'm Dr. Nate Sala, and this is a call to leadership. Well, my friend, I am so thrilled that you joined me on this episode of A Call to Leadership. And before you go to the next episode, especially if you're binge listening, take a moment. I would love to get your honest review right here on your screen. Your feedback is so important. It helps the podcast, it encourages me, and it helps me. It helps me to give you more and more and more value. So I can't wait to read your review. I can't wait to be with you on the next episode. I'm Dr. Nate Sala. This is A Call to Leadership.